change could be made in lives and in the world that we live in if that happened? Well, it's a possibility in revival. So what we're trying to see is, what could God do in our society? What could God do in our city? How about this? What God could do in our church. What about just our church? If all the church folks really got right with God, what do you think would happen? Well, I could start talking about it, and it would be uncomfortable. So let's just move on. But it would make a world of difference if just church folks got right with God, wouldn't it? So when we say, well, why would we pray? Because we're trying to see what God could do in revival. You know, the Bible is full of stories, like the story of Jonah and Nineveh, and other places where when God moved in, something spectacular, marvelous happened. When we start praying for revival, that's what we're asking to happen. We're saying, God, we'd really like to see something out of the ordinary. We'd like to see something spectacular happen. We'd really like to see something really big, that everybody would know it wasn't us. God did it. That's what I'm praying. That's what I hope for. Well, biblically, and that's what we know needs to happen. Historically, that's what has happened in great revivals. I love to read after, the old preachers. Y'all know that. And a couple of books I've read recently reminded and talked about a lot of the old meetings that the old preachers would have and hold. And they often talked about the protracted meetings and the brush arbor meetings and the camp meetings. Those were all different variations of a revival meeting, a prolonged revival meeting. Brush arbor meetings, they'd throw up a tabernacle, an outside shelter made out of brush, and they'd meet there in the evenings when it was cool, and it was a good time in the summer to do that. And so across the South, brush arbor meetings became a big thing and had great revivals in the old brush arbors. And some people have the idea, well, that means we ought to have a brush arbor meeting. Let's go outside where it's hot and muggy and build a structure and we could have a revival again. Well, the revival wasn't because it was in the brush arbor. The revival was because of people praying for it, you see. But then they had the old brush arbors, the camp meetings. One year, Mordecai Ham was in the Carolinas. Mordecai Ham was an evangelist, the most well-known evangelist in the United States in the early 1900s. Mordecai Ham was preaching when Billy Graham got saved. Billy Graham was saved at the preaching of Mordecai Ham. Mordecai Ham was preaching at a Carolina. Great things were happening. People had brought wagons